Hello, hello, this is Bilha. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
But am I freezing?
No?
Oh, because from my end, I'm actually freezing. Anyway, we are going to start off, and because if I start again, it's going to take a lot of our time. So yes, here we go. So today, like I've said, we are talking about self-awareness, self-empowerment. And with me, I have two very great women whom I've known for quite a while. And we are going to talk about this together. So to start us off, without so much ado, because our time has been affected by technology, I am going to start with the person on my right, that is Jennifer. Please introduce yourself, a short introduction, and then we'll continue.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Ndete, and I am a psychologist, a practicing psychologist, and it's great to be here this afternoon.
Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Then we are going to go to Jambi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alice Jambi, and I'm a life coach, and I'm excited to be here.
Then we are going to give this chance to Karine just to introduce herself because she's one of the people who are here with us.
Hi, I'm Karine and nice to meet all of you. I'm a mom of one and I live in Uden.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Let's get this roaring. Thank you very much. So to start us off, I am going to be like one of those teachers. What is self-awareness? So Jennifer, I start with you.
Yeah. Self-awareness, in very simple terms, is really knowing yourself, which is actually a lifetime journey. You never get to say that you've mastered yourself 100%.
Yep.
It's more of an attitude. You develop an attitude of knowing yourself and discovering who you are. But you begin by, first of all, understanding your personality, understanding your emotions, which is quite a big subject, a large subject to discuss. When you understand your emotions, your inclinations, how do people usually affect me? How do I usually get stirred up? What ticks me? It's quite an insightful journey you take. How do you find this out? In the context of other people, because we don't live in a vacuum. You listen to feedback you've received over the years from different people. If there is a similarity in different feedbacks here and there, then you can see, I'm getting to understand that this is how I rub people. So you understand your emotions. But understanding your personality, you might need to take a personality test, even as you have conversations with your friends, the closest people to you, including those who don't quite like you well, just listen to what they say. Maybe one time they liked you, that might just communicate something. So self-awareness is quite a journey. I recommend it highly to all of us because failure to know yourself, it's like living with a stranger. You keep surprising yourself and you say, I don't know what got into me. I mean, how often do we say that? It's good to have that insight. That's how I would begin with.
My goodness, that is so deep. I feel like I am a student right now. That is so deep, and I could ask so many questions with that. But let's hold it there because questions are coming. Now, we tied that, and let me tell you how this topic came about. We were just having our normal chats, and we discovered we might think we are very self-aware, but we are not. Every time we chat with Jennifer or with somebody, then I discover, wow, that's a trigger. So how, and you've said sometimes you get the feedback from other people, yeah?
Yes.
How about when you don't have the feedback?
I would say that the feedback comes both directly and indirectly. Because we're always getting some kind of feedback. Feedback could even be your own reflections. We have a conversation and later you're thinking, that didn't vibe well. What's that? I just wasn't able to penetrate to my thoughts or, that kind of a thing. And when we say that it did not vibe well, we are actually alluding to emotions because emotions is what we communicate with by and large. I usually say they are great God-given ways and means of making sure that we say all we need to say, and even things we need to say that we probably don't want to say.
That is great. That is deep. And maybe let me take another twist to this, because we discovered for you to be self-aware, you also need self-empowerment. So Jambi, I'm looking at you. Please say something about self-empowerment. Why is it important?
That is a very good question. And maybe we can start by just understanding what empowerment means. And in just that sense of the word, to empower, to give power unto somebody or to give authority for something. So when we talk about self-empowerment, it's the same thing. We're talking about taking charge, you know, of your own reality, taking charge of your destiny, taking responsibility for your life, you know, and that is, why is it important? Because, and this is something I love talking about, most of us are living very unconsciously, which is related to awareness, meaning we are not aware of our thoughts, we are not aware of our emotions, as Jennifer has talked about them. We are not aware of how these two are affecting our behaviors. We are not aware of how they are affecting the choices that we make, the decisions that we take, you know, and the habits that we form and all that. So self-empowerment is important because once you get to have that understanding of yourself, you can be able to intentionally or consciously, you know, choose the direction you want, the path that you want to take for your life. So for me, I look at it in terms of, it is so important because it improves the quality of your life, because you move from, you know, Serikali's idea, that mentality of being a victim, to being, you know, to having personal power to change your circumstances or to choose the direction that you want. So I think agree more, self-empowerment is so important.
Okay, wow, you've also brought another dimension. I think, I don't know, I'm feeling like this was broader than we expected. So how does a self-empowered person look like? I mean, how would you know you are self-empowered or you're self-aware? And I'm going to throw it first to Jennifer and then Jabi come in, because the question is quite,
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I really agree with what Jambi is saying, but let me also say something about empowerment from a psychological standpoint. Think about it. The question is, why are we disempowered? How do we get disempowered? Who takes away your power? What power are we talking about? Mainly here, I look at it more, it's basically we are actually on the mind level, because that's where the power is.
Yeah.
The power is in the mind and heart. The power is not out there in maybe getting money. It's in the mind and heart. That's what probably will help you to get the proper means of getting the money that you will buy you some outer power. So where did the power, how does it get compromised? What are we talking about here when you say disempowered? Let's go back to our childhood, growing up, getting socialized. We get socialized with rules, don'ts, and regulations here and there. Much of how we socialized is to obey rules. And that journey is usually quite, it's not smooth. It's not so smooth even for the best person, the best parent. So in our journey of life, as we grow as children, that's number one at the family level. And with our personality as individuals, we grow and get both empowerment and disempowerment. And cumulatively, you realize that you have emotions that are bogging you down stronger, that are more in the negative as an adult. You have insecurities sometimes because of things that you are cautioned about. You have fears. You look at yourself, you don't think you're okay. You don't think you look as beautiful as you ought to, and there are conflicting messages that come from all over. These and other factors cumulatively have a way of disempowering the way we see ourselves. So the power here is, how do I see myself? The way you see yourself. And therefore, needing too much validation, maybe. A little validation is good for life. We are human beings, we need each other. but needing too much of it, or totally getting destroyed by someone devaluing you. And we can say this 101 times. We have many people who have been devalued, particularly now when you start coming to do relationships. I am a therapist, and I can tell you this, when I sit with people in therapy, particularly women, I think by virtue of the fact that if you look at a patriarchal system, you know, women seem to sit lower than in terms of, like, it's a favor to be married, like wow, you're married, like it's someone saw your worth. You get the point now. Do you see that kind of a thing? We cannot change those structures, but I think we can look at the power that you can reclaim back in terms of how you evaluate yourself. How do you evaluate yourself? What's your values? What do you believe in? Because there we go, in your belief system. What do you believe in? Can you choose to believe afresh? Of course you can. So wanting to go to the direction of, first of all, how did we get disempowered? So what was the question, Bill?
The question was, how does a self-empowered or a self-aware person look like?
All right, two different things. So probably I've answered it conversely, if you think about it. Yeah, because it means that now when you start doing the work, when we have this conversation, you listen to us here and you're like, I see, I always second guess myself a little too much. I always remember, I think I'm not, the conversations I have within myself are very negative about myself. And we know the brain is structured for survival. So generally speaking, we have negativity. For you to be positive, you have to be very deliberate. Otherwise, the brain is structured for survival, therefore quite negative. But you can be deliberate. A self-empowered person is, and remember, it is self. And when we say it is self, it is both self and even the resources around you. You use them properly for you to regain your power. And so here, when we say resources around you, we're talking about people around you. We're talking about learning, books you can read, forums you can join. Those are the resources. Communicating with people who you probably feel disempower you. You don't have to be rude to them, but you may just have to learn new things on how to relate with them. You might just have to learn things about your personality that push you the direction of not, for example, we have personalities that are unable to say no, even when under pressure. Yeah. Under pressure, you don't say no. Deep within you, there's a voice that tells you, no, don't go. But no, you still go ahead and follow the bigger group. So that's the ball is in your court to learn. If you learn how to say no, you are empowering yourself.
Wow. Maybe before Jabi comes in, I want to bring another perspective, because for me and how this came about was the fact that there are some things I know are triggers in my life. Yeah. Like if you devalue me or you say something, you can call me a name and it won't affect me. But there is somewhere you can touch and that becomes a trigger. Yes. So sometimes I think, I don't know, and this is a question I'm throwing to you, Jennifer, because you've said that. Is self-awareness of self-empowerment an ongoing process?
Yes, you're right. Like I said earlier, self-awareness is a journey. I am a therapist for over 10 years. I'm still learning myself, but I can say by and large, I do know myself, but I'm also open to learning myself. That attitude of open to learn yourself means you will not take offense if someone gives you feedback. And you are also available attitudinally, because you can tell someone in terms of their attitude that they are not available to get feedback. Yeah. So if you really want to know yourself, you have to be a little vulnerable. You ask feedback. If you are a mother, listen to your children sometimes. If you have a partner, listen to them, even when they are angry or when they are happy, because both can be skewed. Someone can be very happy and they're over nice to you, overly nice, because they're interested in something that they need from you. So they're not genuine. So you need to listen to feedback.
How much feedback, Jennifer? How much?
It is continuous. It is continuous.
What I'm asking, am I supposed to get to like suck into what everybody tells me? Because again, then I am going to lose myself.
This is how I see it. And what I say feedback here is, I think I'm assuming that at this point you can be able to apply discretion between when someone is just angry and ranting. And when in the middle of that ranting, there could be a word that makes sense. Oftentimes that's how feedback is packaged.
Yep.
Person comes, they are very happy with you or they're unhappy with you. They say unnecessary things, typical of anger outbursts, because it's not packaged in a proper way. But in the middle of all that, they might just say, because you're always unreasonable. And you're thinking, they said I'm always unreasonable. Yeah, is that really true? Or are they just, you see that you carry that. So ideally you don't listen and buy everything a person says. I'm hoping we'll be able to apply discretion, because we also have mean people around us who don't mean well. So we also know who to subject ourselves to, even in this feedback. But having said that, feedback is one of the means by which we learn. But another point on feedback is that we need to compare this feedback from different forums. My friend Bill has said something similar to my friend Jane.
Yes, yes.
My friend, someone at work said something closer to what this other person is saying at home. That's also part of understanding yourself. And also your personality, kind of, you can learn it as you listen to different feedback from different forums.
Wow.
There is also feedback that is very biased. We need to know that. But by and large, we are hoping you'll be able to apply the discretion and know what feedback to take.
Wow, that was very important to put across, because you don't want again to lose yourself by taking all the feedback. So Jambi, hold there, Jennifer. We have many questions for you. Jambi, tell us, how does a self-aware, self-empowered person look like?
A self-aware person is someone who has a deeper understanding of themselves. In terms of self-awareness goes beyond knowing what you like and your dislikes. It goes to, having a very deep understanding of yourself in terms of what drives you, what your values are, what being intentional about your thoughts. Are you having empowering thoughts? Are you having negative thoughts? If you're having negative thoughts, then how are you dealing with that? Because a lot of us get stressed because of, not even because of the circumstances, but because of how we perceive the circumstances. So a self-aware person in this situation can easily bring themselves to center. And even in the way they talk to themselves, they're very conscious of it. Like we were mentioning earlier, someone who's not self-aware, and maybe I should add, there's I came across a research by a lady called Dr. Tasha Eurich, and it blew me away, because it mentioned that 9 out of 10 of us, out of 10 people, 9 think they're self-aware, but they're not. Only 1 person is self-aware. The 9 are deluded, meaning they think they know themselves, but they don't. And for me, it really, like, it blew me away. And it made me want to know, to get to know myself on a deeper level. And it goes back to what you're saying, being aware of your thoughts. And, our thoughts are always churning. We have a monkey mind. So being aware of your thoughts most of the time. And how are you aware of your thoughts? By how you feel. It's hard to have negative thoughts and feel happy. It's hard to have negative thoughts and just be smiling and you're in a good place. So once you understand, you have a clear understanding of your thoughts, how you feel, the choices that you make, because most of us we usually make choices without thinking of the consequences, and that is part of conscious living. Make intentional choices, be responsible for the choices. Most of us let me put it this way, a person who's not self-aware will make choices that are not in alignment with who they are. Why? Because they don't even have a clear understanding of who they are in the first place. A person who is self-aware is confident about their abilities, which means they've taken time to understand their strengths, to understand their weaknesses, to know what they are good at, so that they can be able to leverage on their strength, and they can be able to either work on their weaknesses, or they can be able to minimize their weaknesses. A person who is self-aware also has an understanding of what talents and gifts they have, you know, what passions they have, what value they can, what they can do with the talents and gifts to add value into people's lives, make a contribution, and maybe even get paid for it. Even if they won't, I don't know, they can get paid for it. They can do it out of just because it's something that gives them joy. Most people who not self-aware, you'll find they're the ones who usually complain a lot. I hate my job. Okay, are you happy with your job? No, I hate it. What would you want to be doing if you are not doing this? And you'll find you ask, and they keep quiet because they're not sure. What would I be doing? You know, what makes me feel good? What makes me, you know, when I'm feeling down, what raises my vibe or my vibration, so to speak? What is the impact of my choices on others? You know, how do I influence other people? What impact do I have on them? Because someone who's not self-aware will just do things and then they go like, oh, I did that. Oh, I caused that. And they're always apologizing. Sorry. Why? Because they're not aware of how either their decisions or their actions are impacting other people. And that's, I think, what Jennifer was talking about. You get feedback, you're being told you're unreasonable. And that's because you've never taken time with yourself to find out, okay, when I'm communicating with so-and-so, do they get me? You know, do they understand me? How do I come across? How would Bill Hart describe me? Is it in alignment with how I would describe myself? Is it in alignment with how I would want her to describe me? So a self-aware person is someone who has taken time. And I love saying the way, you know, you meet someone and you're happy to meet them and you want to know everything about them. I keep on saying self-awareness is similar. You get to date yourself. You get to know yourself on a very personal level. You get time to just understand how various things have an impact on you, and the same, not just on you, but how you also have an impact on other people.
Wow, that is deep. That is so deep. And you have brought another dimension of reflection. Because for you to be self-aware, for you to be empowered, you have to be reflective. You have to keep asking myself, how do I show up?
Exactly.
Yeah, and not just to one person, to people you work with. In this case, I'm thinking of family dynamics when in marriage with your children. And that tells a lot about your self-awareness. So I think reflection is something that really, really you cannot do without if you want to come out as a self-empowered person. And I want to ask Jennifer to take it from there and talk about how does self-awareness play in relationships?
Yeah, thank you. I do agree with what you people are saying. You know, you don't want to live with a stranger. Like I had said, that's what Jambi is equally alluding to. Yeah. You want to know yourself. But I must also mention that the self-awareness journey is a bit uncomfortable because you get to know your weaknesses. You get to, sometimes you joke around, you might join your enemies in not liking yourself. And you might beat yourself up. So it's a journey that, because it requires vulnerability. Let me mention something as an aside. Many people who come for therapy are surprised of how self-aware they become if they meet with a therapist who is able to apply these principles.
Yeah.
Because in therapy, we are always making sure we focus on you, even the problems you bring as an individual, because you're a main player in your life, whether you are coming to report or not. So self-awareness is very important, and indeed is a journey that you need to be gracious to yourself in. How does it play out? We want to be careful not to show like self-aware people go flaunting around and are proud and are saying, do what you want to do. No, it is such an empowerment that is both strength and humbling and sobering. It's many things. It's maturing. When you get to know yourself, you sometimes are even able to see, wow, you know, my partner is really gracious. They do bear this part of me, right? You're able to see that. But you're also able to see their weakness as well and their contribution and be gracious to that your partner. My sister, my sibling, you also are able to look at how you grew up, for example, the dramas, the dances that were there between your siblings, if you have siblings, parents and the like, you are able to look and reflect back. So, for example, a self-aware person to a certain extent is able to look back into their childhood, and if they have, for any reasons, carried any resentment and anger, they will need to deal with it, definitely, because that's possible to carry. If they've carried low self-esteem, they will need to deal with that, because that can be brought about by backgrounds. So a self-aware person is aware that I've been beaten by life and it has shaped me in a certain way. And this is what I hope to change. But there is also this that I cannot change. That's a self-aware person. Wow. And therefore I'm embracing it. When I embrace it, I realize I need to manage it. What do I mean by that? For example, if by virtue of your personality, you from a personality dimension that you are prone to anger, we know that there are people who are prone to anger because of their personality, and personality is both DNA and socialization, but big percentage of it, you're born with it. Then it is stimulated and grown as you interact with your family. So if you realize that you are prone to anger, you have short frustration level, like you don't quite manage frustration properly. That is empowerment to know, just to know.
Yeah.
But what you do with that knowledge now that's how we see it playing out. We see you knowing when to pull out of a conversation and excuse yourself because you know you don't do well with this kind of conversation. Maybe you would say, I would just slap them if they continue talking, because you know you have that propensity. That's an empowered person. They have power over what could destroy their future. That's an empowered person. That's one dimension of looking at it as knowing emotions. It also plays out even in relationships where you excuse yourself if the arguments are escalating. You know you don't do well. We also have these other personalities that cannot even manage or have a conversation that is, let's say, an argument. Like when you start arguing, they just can't say what they think. That's quite passive. That's a passive direction. Extremely agreeable, avoiding conflicts. You really need to know whether that's where you fall. Why? Because in the short term, we will clap for you and say she's a very peaceful person, and we will think you're very good. And as a young girl, you'll be told you're a good girl. But when life has to be done and decisions have to be made, you're going to be trodden upon.
Yeah.
So it's a weakness to be, again, even the typical passive woman that we seem to be thinking is the one that every, should be sold to the world. They have their downside. So that they need to know. The empowerment would mean they need to be aware and not hate themselves. I've met people who, when they get aware, they hate themselves. They say, I'm weak. I don't like myself. Then I'm like, wow, reconcile yourself with that reality of who you are. You don't like where that has led you, but you can pick from here now and start making decisions of, I'm aware. I get taken advantage of very easily. I am gullible by virtue of my personality. So an empowered woman or man here in this case would be saying, you know what? I know that if I enter that conversation, I'm going to lose. That's empowered person. So what do you do so that you still enter into that conversation? You figure out means of getting what you need to get. Do you have someone you can send to stand for you? Or do you want to use different means of conversations? Are you better writing than talking? Do you want to do both? That's an empowered person, in the sense that empowerment here is that they have self-knowledge, they have other knowledge, they have past knowledge, they are opening their eyes as they walk in life.
Wow. Jambi, please tell us your perspective. The question was, in relationship, how does a self-empowered, self-aware person look like? Or how do they come out? How do they show up?
Okay. Jennifer has shared so much, so I'll just add a little bit. In terms of a relationship, I think the most critical ways, or I'm thinking about, someone who's self-aware would understand their triggers, such that, because most of the time when you have conflict in relationships, it's because someone has been triggered and they think the argument or the conflict is about that particular thing. But it's usually the whole, I love saying, when it comes to the way we look at our problems, there's what we call the safe problem, and then there's the real problem that lies underneath. So when it comes to, like, for example, let me give an example. Maybe my partner doesn't like it when I get home late. So when I get home late, they're always making noise. And me, I'm thinking, you knew where I was. I was at work. I couldn't have left. So why are you making noise? That is the safe problem. Probably the issue that now a self-aware person would come and ask, okay, so why is this such a big thing for me? Because if I was comfortable with her working, and I know that these are her timings, and I trust her, and we have an open communication line between us, it wouldn't be getting to me as much. So what's really going on? Maybe I have insecurity issues. Maybe I need to open up about this, and so that we can enhance our levels of trust. Another argument could be, I don't know, could be even sometimes people have arguments about food. Why did you make food this way? Yet, the issue is not even about food. The issue is probably the person is not feeling appreciated, but they don't know, why is it that I'm so angry at my spouse? So when they maybe have food that they don't like, the issue becomes food. So when a person is self-aware or is learning to be self-aware in a relationship, they get to understand what are these sources of conflict, and what are these triggers telling me, so that it's not even about my partner first, it's about me. Why am I responding like this? So that when I know, then I can even ask my partner to help me understand this. Let me give another example. If, say, I have a partner who comes home late because he goes for a drink with the boys, and of course I'm always getting annoyed because they're coming home late. The issue is them not, the issue is not them coming home late. For me, it would be, the issue is I don't feel appreciated. I feel like you're spending more time with the boys than with me. So if I can get an understanding, if I can get to that understanding, then I can be able to express my concerns. I can be able to address this with my partner. But unfortunately, for most of us, we don't really have that, deep understanding. So we get into unnecessary conflict. The other thing is, when I understand myself and how I come across, and the things I say and the things I do, and how my partner picks them, I'm able to communicate in a way that they will understand. Which means also for me, I have to understand my partner. I have to really get to understand, okay, I like doing things this way. My partner likes doing things this way. So how do I communicate in a way that it will bring us closer, instead of we keep on arguing about, I don't know, the toothpaste and it being left on this side and it, how can we have more harmony in the relationship? So in a nutshell, a person who's self-aware in a relationship is able to navigate quite well, is able to express themselves in a relationship, because most of us, what we do in relationships, we have what we call toxic communication. We are either blaming the other person, you did, or we are either being defensive when we are told, hey, but then maybe this is how you do things. And then because we don't have that ability to sit and reflect, we think it's a personal attack. So what do? We defend ourselves. Or we do what we call stonewalling. You zone out, kneel by mouth. Because you're angry, you don't talk to them. When your partner says something that you don't like, you tune out. You're not there. You don't know how to communicate. And worst case scenario, there's a lot of contempt. You know, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of sarcastic communication, and worst case scenario, there's absolutely no communication in that relationship. You're two people, but maybe the only communication you have is maybe when you have kids, it's go tell your mom, I don't know, this is what I need. Go tell your dad, school fees needs to be paid. So when a self-aware person is in a relationship, you tend to have, especially when it's two people who are growing in their self-awareness, they're more likely to have a healthy relationship, unlike two people who are not aware of themselves.
Wow. Wow, wow. I don't know what to say. I could ask you 1,001 questions because I'm also thinking, I think we have association. Like you've asked, you've said something, comes the night, and you don't like that. I think it's what you associate someone coming in the night with that is affecting you, is not the fact that someone has done it again. So I think that's a very important awareness that you need to have. Why do I feel this way? Why is it that when someone comes late, why is it that if someone doesn't close the door, you know, why is it that when someone doesn't take the bin outside, why does it trigger emotions? So I think the other thing I'm hearing is that you need to know yourself and your trigger and how you associate a normal occurrence with like being attacked or not being understood. And I want to be, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Illustration. I have a friend and she was talking about how her and the hubby used to argue all the time. Yeah? And they used to argue about windows. She would come in, open the windows. He would come in, close the windows. She would come in, open, he'd come in and close. And they'd always get irritated. Who's this who opened? You know, and not who's this. Why did you open? Why did you close the windows? Until one day they sat. She sat and she thought, wait a minute, this is such a small thing, but it's such a big issue between us. We are always frowning, you know, upon each other. And they sat down and they talked about it. And it goes back to what Jennifer was talking about earlier. It goes back to childhood experiences. She was coming from a very uptown neighborhood. So, you know, the kind of houses that have very large, spacious windows, and they used to live open. The hubby was coming from the other side of town where you leave your window open, guess what? A thief comes in. Yeah. So for him, his mind has been wired, but you always close the windows or else there's a burglar that will come in. And her mind is wired in terms of, I mean, windows are for opening, for letting in light and air and, you know, fresh air. Until now they got to that point, which is what you're talking about. I felt the need to add that. It would have been, it's a very good illustration. When you understand, why is this such, you know, such a trigger? Why do I look at this? Why am I perceiving it this way? So it's not the event, it's not the issue, it's not him going out until I don't know what time, it's what association do I have with it, which goes back to self-awareness.
Wow, okay, all right. Jennifer, I see you have something.
I could say a lot. There's a lot of very profound things Jambi is saying there.
Yeah.
What comes to mind as I'm picking from what Jambi is saying is, I'm thinking about like when you give examples of a couple, there's a lot. I think being in a couple or in a marriage is one of the diet that is used to really make us know ourselves. And unfortunately, my heart goes out for the people who've really been shaped. It's one of the areas we can really be abused.
Yes.
I mean, people have been told, you have no mind, like you have no mind. Basically, I'm the judge of what mind is. It's one of the areas where we can almost give the deity, like it's an altar. And there's a lot of power. That means there's a lot of power. And because there's a lot of power, you really need to be careful that power does not belong afloat. Like it can't just be floating. That power needs to be shared. because it is your power also as an individual.
Yeah.
When she alludes the whole idea of control, for example, do you have freedom to come late because you're an adult? Of course, yes. Should you have respect for your partner to have that conversation with them that you are running late? But of course, yes. But should someone control that? That's a conversation to have. Yeah. Some personalities have a propensity to want to control others. It begins by wanting to be in control. It begins very nice, by the way. It begins by liking order. It begins by organizing people, and people applaud you for the organizing them. It begins by delivering. It has a very good side of it. If I don't moderate that, if I have that propensity of being very orderly and organized, once I bring myself to now the informality, because order plays out in the formal. When I bring myself the informality of the relationships, I start saying things like, it's a Saturday afternoon and we are all chilled. I start saying, I don't like people just sitting around and not being productive, and people start feeling uncomfortable. You are actually have a strong urge to control. You want people to be productive. So the point here is control is one of the things that is quite major in relationships. Yeah. And it hurts people. And even the one who is controlling is not happy. I have started in therapy with people who are very controlling and they have refilled. I can pick it. They are very unhappy. They actually think life is very hard. You know?
Yes.
Yes.
Now I'm just thinking, and you need to tell me, because of being in a different cultural setup, because I find like where I am in Netherlands or the European setup, like they're first of all, they're very vocal, and also they're very confident about themselves. Yeah, like if they take a certain perspective, they're very, almost you can say rigid. I don't want to say rigid because there are those that are very open, but I'm thinking, what is the role of culture and being self-aware and being self-empowered?
Wow, that's a lot. And indeed, there's a strong relationship between culture. Yeah, because culture, what's the meaning of culture? Culture is a people's way of life. Basically, culture is what we use to learn how to live. It's about do's and don'ts. It's about descriptions of who we are or who you are as an individual. Now, depending on the culture you lean towards, you go more towards Africa, we lean more towards we. And that does not mean we are any better or worse, but we are describing here. We're not saying better culture, we're saying description here. So you come to Africa, studies in culture show we lean very strongly towards we. That is why when growing up in Africa, from the time you're a child of so-and-so. That's very important. Your mother, your father will tell you, you are my child, like I brand you. So you have to do ABC. You hear control there? And you are happy to adhere to that.
Yeah.
Now you move to the next institutions, let's say schools or religious institutions. If they happen to know you, they will ask you, whose child are you? Before they even know you're called Bilha. Do you Bilha? They don't seek to know the Bilha. No, we know you in the context of your family. So we continue on, and therefore the concept of we is very strong in Africa. It has its own strengths. One of the strengths about the we concept is that we are very good at what we call social support.
Yeah.
We go out of our way to support our people, whether we know them or not. I do that. I know you do that. You support. But when you go to the Western world, there's a very strong emphasis on the individual, the I. The I, such that in one family, you can be allowed to be, this one is this one has a different perspective. You don't like to go to church, that's all right. In our African culture, everyone goes to church, but they disagree. Some of them disagree with it. They reach a point, they say, I don't go to church anymore. I don't even want my parents to know. And you are an adult.
Yeah.
And you don't want them to know. You see, that's a we.
Wow.
When you go to the West, I don't go to church. I've never liked it. And my parents asked me, they knew I don't like it. They didn't force it. So that's very strong. So you are asking what's the link of that to what in terms of self-aware and even empowerment. Let's now come to that. It then means that it is very hard, not so easy for an African to develop self-awareness in comparison to, not my word, in comparison to the European. Why? It's like, I don't even know. I'm a child on so-and-so. Like, who am I really? I kept on being balked and told to shut up whenever I expressed anything contrary. I was shamed for probably being too loud because my mom is not loud. That kind of a thing. So it's really, you take time, you take longer to develop self-awareness. And even when you develop self-awareness, when you are coming from a weak culture, you are almost apologetic.
Yeah.
You're almost apologetic that you are a child of so-and-so, a child of, that village, and you are speaking out about this particular perspective, which we're growing up it's not for women to do such things. So it becomes quite not easy. In terms of empowerment, that means that also you struggle the same way. And that means you have to reconcile yourself. It calls for a lot of thinking. It calls for like internal thinking. What do I mean by internal thinking? Like read the entire dialogues. Again, coming back to culture. The weak culture doesn't encourage a lot of deeper thinking and analyzing self. No, why? Because it is already stipulated. We sing it in our folk songs. We say it in our proverbs. We communicate what we want to be. So a lot of thinking makes you look like Karibo. What are you doing? You're questioning things that we've already agreed on. Don't be controversial. While when you go to the Western culture, you think, and I don't care, just thrive. That I don't care, and not in a bad way. Like that's the encouragement. Create your own life. Be innovative the way you want. Whether you want to tell me, it's okay. Can't get offended that you didn't tell me. Try moving on in Africa and not tell your kids that you're moving on. It's disrespectful. So I think what are we saying here? When you talk about culture, when I talk about culture, I want to be very careful so that people don't feel like I'm shaming any culture.
No.
Also to make sure that you develop an internal understanding. I am a child of this culture. This is the path I have passed through. I am this product. There's a lot to celebrate, but I've also been beaten as I journey through this culture. But right now in my life where I am at, how can I empower myself?
Yes.
Albeit the journey that I have done.
My goodness. I am happy you answered that. I don't even want to say anything about it. Now, we seem to have lost Jambi, so I can't ask her another question that is not here. I hope everything is okay. The next question, what are the resources available for you to, remember we were talking about self-awareness, the triggers, or how you show up in relationships. Whatever type of a relationship you have at work, at home, friends, So what are the resources available? Because for me, I can tell you, I feel like I've grouped in darkness looking to empower myself. Of course, well, that's a good path, but I feel like there has been more failures, or maybe I would have learned about myself earlier if I knew where to get the resources.
Okay, thank you. But having said that, remember they say that you have to have a mind that is ready to learn. There's this saying, I think there's this philosopher who said that that when the student is ready, the teacher will arrive.
Oh yeah.
Very confusing for many people. People say, wow, what do you mean? You will realize that readiness is very, very critical. But before I go further, let me mention something about triggers. They had been mentioned by Jambi, and I thought it's good to highlight them, especially as a therapist. If you have very strong triggers in your life, triggers basically means it's a memory that you quickly takes you, someone does something in your context, and it takes you back to a place that is not related in reality. Or it gives you another memory that is painful or different from what is happening at the moment. You need to know if you have memories that are very painful, you would need to actually see a therapist. It is in your interest to actually seek therapy if you have memories that have a bit of trauma, maybe you grew up in an extremely volatile background, and it bothers you. There are people who grew up in volatile backgrounds, but it doesn't kind of bother them, so they don't need to go for therapy. So I don't want to give a one-fit prescription here. If indeed you've come from a background that there was abuse and you watched a lot of things that really suppressed you, whatever form of abuse, and you get triggered, you need to actually sit with a therapist and be helped unpack that. And this could also be that maybe even you've been married and forced and hurt and trodden upon, and because of socialization, particularly in Africa, I know even world over, women suffer more, not just in Africa. Women suffer, basically. There's a lot of suffering because of the dynamics of marriage. But if you've been abused and continuously trodden upon, you need to unpack that with a therapist so that you stop getting muffled up. Why? When you're in a relationship with someone you love, when it turns into hate and then they hurt you, then love and hate gets mixed up. There's a wire there that kind of burns. So that can cause a lot of trigger, that someone being nice to you, you interpret it to be like they want to manipulate you, while it's probably not the case, even although sometimes it could be the case. So very important to unpack your past if indeed you are continuously triggered. If you're continuously triggered to a point of paralysis, like we're in this meeting, they start talking about this, I had to walk out. Now, definitely you need to deal with that issues. And there's a lot of no-go zones for you in conversations. It makes life very difficult then for you. So you really need to see a therapist. So the next thing you ask is the resources that are there for us to be able to get the empowerment we're talking about. It begins with doing an analysis of your life. Many people do not do an analysis. Many of us believe in fate. We believe that it was meant to be. You have to be that person that does not just think that we float in life. You have to be that person that agrees that part of life, I am journeying this life, but I am an active participant in my life. So part of that is really doing an analysis of your life and seeing whether things you like or don't like, and then see, do I really need to be empowered in a particular area? Even in relationships, one of the things that is good, that is very important in relationships, is that relationship should be able to be reciprocal and have a mutual meeting point, and that you are able to negotiate properly in the relationship you're in. If you are those who can never negotiate, then there's a disempowerment there in that relationship. And I know I say that, and I know there are people who settle for a relationship that does not require negotiation. If that's what you've chosen, remember you've chosen that. But there is capacity within you to do that. So you need to first of all begin there. The next thing is now to seek out resources. They come in many forms. They come first of all in beginning to know yourself. Because you're an active participant of your life. You begin by self-knowledge. Like what we have discussed is very little compared to what you require for self-awareness. You might just want to go online and do a self-analysis, get to know what kind of a person you are, understand your personality, which is the beginning, even as you compare and listen to feedback, like we said earlier. You begin there. Then the next thing, you need to figure out which are these areas that you think by virtue of your personality, you get disenfranchised. So remember, you're not really planning to go and disempower other people. You don't need to take power away from the people around you for you to be empowered. And I think sometimes that is the problem that people have raised about the whole world movement about women empowerment, when we think that we need to take away power from men for us to be empowered. That's not the idea. The idea is it's the power is there. It's, if you leave it, it will be picked by someone. So it's you for you to take that position. So if I'm having a relationship with you, Bilha, if I allow you to be very rude to me and I don't communicate to you that I'm dissatisfied, when I say communicate, it means I can tell you through many means. If I don't do that, then there's a power I have left there, and you will take the power, and then I'll lose out. So I am an active participant in saying, I need to understand the areas that I feel I'm disempowered. Having said this, I want to emphasize that the greatest power is self-knowledge, knowing how you apply yourself in different forums, at work, in relationships, and choosing what to allow in your life, because that's a power. what to allow and what not to allow. Did you know it's possible to be in a relationship and ignore things that you don't like if the person does not allow you to talk about them, and therefore remain powerful than having to yap around forever about things that you cannot agree? So when you ignore them and decide not to participate in them, you've still communicated something, and this will bring a conversation. Okay. And the conversation will be done. But we hope you have enough insight to know, why have I ignored to follow that route? I have a reason. When I get a forum, I will communicate it. It's quite a journey, and it's not an easy journey because it requires deep analysis. It also requires considering the people you are with, because it's not about you alone, because you also need other people. Yes. When you get empowered, it doesn't mean you're getting empowered to not need other people. There's an area in which we all need each other. Yeah. So you're seeking to have that balance between you and other people so that you don't get too oppressed and too disadvantaged, and you don't miss out in life. You do that. You also read. You read. There's a lot of online to read about. And I must also say, as I conclude this bullet, is that therapy can help you get all that we are describing. People need to understand that psychologists are trained for years to understand many things, and after many things about the human psyche. Yeah. And as we do that now, including culture, as we go through that training, when we start practicing, the training continues as we practice. I practice and I read and I look at research. So people need to understand that people have come for therapy. I have seen clients who come not because they have a major problem, but they are dissatisfied with their lives. And we have several sessions as we explore, and they get very empowered. In people who will come for therapy, they will say they are very unhappy with their job. That's actually the story. Turns out they are so disempowered in the very well-paying job. They are overworked. They don't know how to protect themselves. They are beginning to doubt their capacity to deliver. And therapy, you just need like 6 sessions, and they are on board again. So that's another one that I must say, you can use therapy, consultations of therapy for that. There's a whole domain of stress management that goes with empowering a person. Yeah. Yes. Wow, wow, wow. I am so sorry that we have lost Jambi. I would have loved to hear her side of the story, but having said that, you've covered it very, very well. And now I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared about something you've said, because I don't think I've managed that one, whereby you've said that you can be in a relationship and decide to ignore some things. I think you need to talk more about that. Yes, yes. All right. Forward. How is that possible? Probably the word is not ignore. Maybe it's partly the correct word is probably to minimize. Okay. Yes, thank you for that highlight. Probably the word is to minimize. The point here is to say, or where I'm coming from when I say this, I mean, if you say something not going well and you make it an extremely big deal, you will lose the balance that you have in that dynamic of that relationship. Okay. So it's like calling for wisdom. That new thread that I am seeing, I will first of all minimize it and observe it. And as I dynamically see how the conversation is going, I will say, did you realize that I didn't say anything about that? Because I don't know what to say about it. There you go, opening a bullet for conversation. Okay, I hear you now. I do hear you. All right, wow. We are learning so much. I wish we have the whole day. I feel like we should go for a retreat and talk about this. That would be nice. I enjoy doing this. I really enjoy doing this myself. I can see. Now, I have another question for you. There are some, John Hari window of blind spot. Sometimes. Yes, I know Johari windows. Yes, we do. Yeah, we may think we are self-aware. Yes. But there's a blind spot window that we don't know. Yes. How do we navigate that in this situation? Actually, Johari Widows is part of what you use when you're developing self-awareness. If you go online and Google it, it guides you into self-awareness. It's interesting, we sometimes even use it for teaching corporate, even leaders. for team leaders. We use it sometimes to help people understand as leaders how they are coming across. You can also use it as an individual. You go and look at the 4 domains and see, there's the public. I may not remember all of them off head how they go, but the blind, I think it's nature's way of making sure that like we cannot be perfect, but we need to be open about it. We will always have a blind spot in life. In fact, we are created that way. Life becomes more interesting because we cannot comprehend ourselves 100%. Yeah. But it's actually, I would recommend it as part of a document that one would use to self-aware. It's quite comprehensive, and look at the blind part of it and beware that it is there. Yes. Surprisingly, blind sometimes has good things. It has potentials that we didn't know we know. Yeah. Let me say, sometimes because of being very regimented, like if you think about it, at a certain age when you're an adult, you do think that you know yourself fairly well. We even say, I'm a grown woman, I know myself very well. Yeah. So that's a lot of confidence in yourself, and probably you don't quite know yourself very well. Yeah. So it turns out that when we've used Johari Widows, especially when we are helping people who are transiting and about to retire, one of the things we tell them is get to know yourself. Maybe there is a blind area in your life that has a lot of potential that you do not know that you could use. Find it early in life while you're still in employment, and be open and find out both within and without things about you. How do we know these things? Sometimes it's like for example, if you have an interest in music, what else goes with music? If you have an interest in numbers, what else goes with numbers? So all that. Yeah. So basically, it's very interesting that the journey of life has some blind areas, and it is okay for it to have, makes it a bit spicy. We get surprised or sometimes shocked. Yeah. But I doubt that if you have an average self-awareness, I doubt that you can do anything that would destroy you if you have a grip on, for example, 70% of your self-awareness, even 60. Yeah. Because even the attitude of wanting to know yourself is a very good attitude. It means you are open and not closed. Yeah. There are people I know, and I have met them. You don't tell them, they don't even know themselves. They keep exhibiting, and we are watching the drama. Yeah. And they just say things like, you people make me angry. I don't like getting angry. And we are thinking, forget about liking, you get angry many times. So we can assume logically that you like. So you say you don't like getting angry. So that's someone who doesn't even want to know themselves. Yeah. It's like they don't know, and they don't know they don't know. Oh, quite blind. Very blind. Very, very blind. That is serious. Very, 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 very serious. Now, I don't know. I am finding like being self-aware, being self-empowered. I even hadn't seen it this way when we were coming up with this. It covers so many sports. It covers so many bullets. For example, conflict resolution, not letting your guard down, not letting yourself to be lost in relationship. Remember, self-awareness comes in a relationship setup. A lot. Yeah. So I think we need to do this again. But before I go there, two of my friends are here, Olivia and Janvier. I want to ask them, and I'm going to start with Janvier because we can see you. Janvier, please introduce yourself, and if you have a comment, a question, because you're coming to a close, this is the time. Introduce yourself, and if you have a question or a comment, this is the time.
Hi, my name is Janvier, as she said. Sorry, I'm joining from one Airbnb in Ireland, so I'm in one top roof somewhere.
Nice.
Yes, and my apologies, my great apologies for joining late. I was at a conference, so I simply finished the other one and just logged into this one.
Wow, thank you.
And I'm just thinking, really, I wonder if there are many people who've left the platform already. But I'm thinking, what a shame to have this wealth of knowledge with just about 6 people. This is what people need at the moment. And to be honest, people are going through a lot, especially compounded by the pandemic. And I was quiet because I'm just enjoying Jennifer's, contributions. I'm a certified wellness coach, so I'm just sucking in as a sponge as well, and knowing what people go through. And yet, as we usually say, that when the teacher is talking and the yapping about coming late, it's usually the people who came early that are getting the yapping. The latecomers have not arrived. So most such talks really get the people who are ready to learn, really get the people who are hungry for information. And that's why you get the most of the people who are suffering sinking deeper and deeper into the hole, because it's sometimes a bit difficult to get them on such platforms. So the people who are readily available for such platforms, they get better and better because information is powerful. And I was listening to her talking about culture, and Bilha was about to say, you need to sometimes, you need to pay attention to your biases when you're describing the cultures, when you talk about the African culture versus the Western culture. I come from Kenya, and I'm married to a Kenyan. We speak the same language, but I came from a very open family. I was raised to ask questions. I was raised to just to say what you see, and very open, and like you say about the Westerners, I think all of us in our family are very confident because of that one aspect, that we were, allowed just to be you and not be restrained. And then when I got married, my husband's family is the one of rules of, sometimes I would hear my father-in-law saying something on the table, and everybody's quiet. I'm looking around like, is somebody going to say something? Is somebody going to say something? Does it make sense to you what he's saying? It doesn't make sense. And yes, so it's even in the same culture that you find very different. We speak the same language, but yet we were brought up with different values. And so ideally, and practically, we have very different culture in the same country, in the same language. So I had to really do a lot of integration and sometimes some things to learn and unlearn. And so sometimes we still face those things. So I've just so been, really I've enjoyed the topics going on, but I think we have to make a bigger platform. I think if you need to do marketing, this is a nugget that many people need to get, into. A lot of people are sinking into the black hole. And yes, a lot of people are suffering. There's a lot of wellness, needed out there. And I don't know how desperate you are to do this, but I think this is what is eating people. A lot of people are coming up from the pandemic, emotional issues, mental issues. And Jennifer, thank you so much. That was really great. I was just going in. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, and even when you are a coach, even when you're a therapist, even when you're a psychologist, you still learn every single day. Even yourself, we are made up you are wired so interestingly that even after studying, sometimes even you get surprised with yourself, and you keep on learning and discovering yourself on a daily basis. So thank you. I'm just happy to be here, even though I came late. So, but I'm blessed.
Great. Thank you for coming. I'm honored. I'm honored by your presence. We had a small and a big one, a small problem with our technology because the link that I sent to people was not working at all. So maybe I can use that as one of the reasons why we have very few people. Actually, I had to send a new link when the meeting was already starting. But don't worry, because this is on Facebook and we are recording it, so they can watch on replay. So yeah, that is the beauty we have now with digital migration. So I want to invite Olivia. Olivia, we need to see your face.
Sorry, I'm at home and my son is running around.
No worries.
It's a bit whatever, but for me, oh my goodness, yeah, I was having trouble also getting in because I had the previous link which was not working.
Yeah.
But I think I've never been to therapy, so of course you listen to her and you're like, oh my goodness, you learn so much, because you always think you need to have a problem before you go for therapy. But just listening to her, and I think one of the things that I really enjoyed also the way she said the power is within. Yep. It starts with you, because sometimes you're thinking, yeah, these people are doing this or this one is whatever, but really the power is in you. I thought that was, so enlightening for me. And then also communicating, the way you communicate to people, you cannot just choose, I will not engage. You have to find a way to communicate. And I don't know, I just hope I can see her in a different forum also. Like, this is not it. But I was just listening. I'm like, of course, I have to share it on Kenya Hub. So, yeah, if that recording is there, I think I would really love to share it on the Facebook page for Kenya Hub. I've learned so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm very grateful.
Okay, you're welcome.
Both to Jennifer and to Njambi. I'm so grateful. And of course, Bilha for making this possible.
Yeah,
thank you.
And I think, Jennifer, perhaps you will resonate with this, is that, again, going back to culture, is that coming from where we come from, seeing a therapist or seeing a counselor or seeing a stress, it's not in our construct. And even if for those people who are doing it before, it's almost like a stigma. It's almost like, so why are you seeing a therapist? And I think we need to go through a deconstruct on that I can wake up and if I'm not feeling fine, and sometimes I speak to someone not because I have problems, but just because I need somebody else to listen to this and pick it up and just be like my GPS. Some of us drive to a place 5 times, but we still put on the GPS. So I tell people, sometimes I use a counselor or a friend, a professional friend, as my GPS, even though I know that, I'm not suffering. Yeah. But by the time I hear turn right, and just because sometimes the route that I know always I'm so used to it, I get it blocked. And that person is able to reroute me safely without, So I think we need to go through a deconstruct. And times are changing also. I think before we had such a strong social support as well. So you didn't worry so much about being lonely or about, but now it's changing. I realize that even at home, when I go home now, you can't just pop in to auntie's place without checking, are you home? Can I come? Yeah. So so I think we need to realize that a lot of things are changing, but also one of the things that I keep on telling, especially women, is that we were taught, do not wash your laundry in the open, your dirty laundry in the open. But I always say all the time that the person who told us that didn't tell us where to take the dirty laundry.
I think in our
the dirty laundry in the house, they will soon stink and one of you will walk away.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. You're so right. I think we need to normalize going for therapy. The times
we are getting there. I think by and large we are getting there.
We are getting there. That is good. That is.
I see the kind of clients who come. That's the same story. We have more clients than ever before.
Yeah.
Clearly, we live in the 21st century. We are no longer. We really evolved. So with that evolution comes a demand for external help. Yeah. The reason we never needed therapy, it was quite entrenched into the system.
Yes.
Like things were taken care of. It was a very controlled system.
Yeah.
Things never lost their direction. Today, if a couple is fighting, they go and report to their parents. I tell them, I'm sorry. They just can't help. They just worry. They worry for you. They will hope you become good boys and girls. They will tell you to be nice. They will simplify it. Today, traditionally, You reported that way. It was a big deal. There were sanctions.
Yeah.
In fact, right now, if you go and tell your mom that your marriage is breaking, first she'll be rushed to hospital. It will cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she will also say that, basically, in other words, she has no power to intervene and change that system. That's the point.
Yeah.
So you need, because also the problems are more complicated.
Yeah.
They are so complicated that even the couple themselves, when they come for therapy, they are also deconstructing. They're getting to know themselves. Actually, they get to develop self-awareness. And they go like, why didn't I know this? That kind of a thing. So maybe Bill, there's something I would want to highlight.
Yes.
To this, you highlighted and say that one of the things, as you were saying, some of the things we are taking home to keep our guard up for self-awareness. Or it's both. It's not just keeping the guard up. It's to know when to keep it up and when to put it down. That is self-awareness.
Yes.
Because there are times you need to put your guard down, depending on the circumstances and how you need to apply yourself. And there are times you need to put it up. So that dance, there are others whose guard come up is forever up by virtue of their personality and many factors. So again, that doesn't work very well for them. They need to learn to put it. So we need that flexibility.
All right. Okay, I think we have come to the end of our very informative session. My goodness.
I've enjoyed the bit that I've really enjoyed the bit that I've found. And also
you can imagine me who started with her, how I'm feeling right now. But all is not lost. You can rewatch on a replay. So I would like you to, if you have any final remarks, Jennifer, as we come to a close.
Let me say this. My final remarks is more or less what I said earlier. Self-awareness is a journey. I give example of myself. I've been a therapist for over 10 years. I get to learn myself. You don't reach a point where you say you know yourself 100%. But basically, it's a journey. I have the basics, but I am journeying. Are there things that I still would need to improve? Yes, they're there. Have I reconciled myself with them? Some of them, yes. I've allowed myself to be human also. So self-awareness does not mean that you will be perfect. It's a journey. Bear that in mind, it's a journey. Seek out knowledge. It's crying out there and we need to seek it. Look at these forums that Bill, you've created for us. Look at me, you're calling me and I'm being useful, but if you didn't call me, I would have taken it or maybe not taken it. You understand? Iron sharpening iron. So indeed, knowledge is out there. Self-awareness is a journey. Knowledge is out there. Let us seek. When we seek, we shall find.
Thank you. My goodness, it can't be put in any other better way. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, Janvia. Enjoy your stay. Thank you, Olivia. Say hi to
Thank you so much. Just before you go away, and this is me using my late coming or whatever. Jennifer, how do you encourage your clients, especially from the culture of not coming from going for therapy? Because most of the time, by the time they come, for example, by the time a couple comes to see somebody, to seek help, usually it's the breaking point.
That's quite a common phenomenon. What we're trying to do, we use education. But as a therapist, I'm also a trainer, psychoeducation. So whenever I get forum, which I do get forums for training, other training, sometimes I'm even at the corporate, training something about change management. Believe you me, I take that opportunity. By the time we are finishing, I say, we are talking about this change. You need to take charge of your own personal life. And then I shape it in a way of communicating. There is no shame in seeking us for therapy. I am such an ambassador of that other forums that I'm in, I make sure that I package a communication that it is okay to ask for help. I ask for help myself, and I'm a therapist. Of course, when I am in charge, I look like I've got it all. It's all right if that's what they think. But I go and seek my help. Everyone goes somewhere. Where is that?
At least me, I know I come to you. I'm lucky to have you.
I know, we walk together, my dear. I know.
We do. So thank you.
And thank you for this invitation also. I need to say that I appreciate the forum. I appreciate the opportunity.
And we can maybe market it more. I can use other avenues depending with the reaction that I'm going to get, of course. And I know this is a need. I'm doing it for myself. We are the aunties. We are the aunties that are not there right now. We need to bring it to the internet. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And those are the streets now we are using to be able to.
Those are the streets, yes.
Streets that we are using, yeah.
Yes, yes. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Olivia,
thank you very much. Olivia, you would show us your real face?
Sorry, not today.
I've missed you, my dear. I'm gonna call you to see your face.
All right. Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.